there is something that we've said in the first class and which still stands today. And Wasim, thank you for bringing that up. We have to remember that astrology is nothing more than a language that we've agreed to somehow communicate. And there is one thing which I always have to remind myself, that when I'm reading psychology or, people or archetypes, or what Carl Jung calls as archetypes, Carl Jung has decided to label these people as archetypes and given them some names. Or for example, if you do personality testing and, now you're like JL, extrovert, whatever, these are still languages. And by the way, astrology is the same thing. It's actually the same thing. It's a language that's describing a particular archetype of a person. It's describing their internal elements, whether they are more fiery in nature or whether they are more, intuitive in nature, whether they are, so I know that this justification for you guys is not needed, but tomorrow come in the world and especially if you live in Lebanon, like for example, Sarah and Maya, astrology is deemed almost as maskhara, right? And, hopefully we will, like the House of Wisdom will break the, that ground
Taboo.
for you, that taboo for you, and put you on the forefront of, that it's a true psychological or scientific language of the stars. But until that happens, like, for example, I'll give you an example. Tomorrow, I am a regular host on Dubai Eye, right? Like, I'm not the host, but we have very good media connections with Dubai Eye. It is only until today that I managed to convince the producer that it's okay for her to speak about astrology live on air. Before that,
Yeah, it's
she's
a
like,
Muslim
no,
country.
no,
They
no,
will
no,
not
no.
accept it.
I'm a serious host. That's what that's what she told me. She's like, Jana, dream interpretation is very scientific, and you're a psychologist, so yes, I would host you on that, but no way am I hosting you under astrology, because I'm a serious host. I pitch in the fragments of lifestyle and education. And I'm like, okay, do you know how long we've been dealing with Dubai Eye? It's almost been, what, 4 years now? 4 years it took me to break that taboo for her to say, okay, you know what, let's try and swing it. And that's what she said, let's try and swing it. And she's like, can we make sure that it's very linked to psychology? So hopefully with time we will break that taboo. But because we broke so many taboos before that, we broke the taboo of the tree of life, we broke the taboo of Judaism, we broke the taboo of Kabbalah. So hopefully, by the time you guys graduate, that will no longer be a taboo. But you need to understand that when you, as astrologers, as future astrologers, move away from justifying, but move into the space of explaining. And that's very important. Meaning, and I will highlight, and this is across all sections of healing, right? All sections of healing. This just doesn't just apply to astrology. You don't justify your expertise. You don't, have to convince someone that what you do works. But at the same time, it's your responsibility as an educator or healer or light worker to speak openly about something and educate someone. And I'll give a practical example. So for example, if someone comes to you and says, "Yi astrology, maskhara, yi يعني مثل مين مثل مريم نور," that's the end of that conversation. That's the end of that conversation. And when the person tries to chit chat about it, and by the way, I'm recording this because it is part of your course. It's not like we're having a chat. If the person comes up to you and starts wanting to chat, and be very careful about this, starting wanting to chat about spirituality or astrology or healing, you have to have the strength and the courage to say, that's very interesting that you're interested in astrology. I would love to see what is your archetype, or what your purpose is, or what your shortfallings are in your character. I'm going to have to look at your natal chart. Maybe you can schedule an appointment. You see, the moment you do that flip, where you stop trying to convince them and show them how much you know about Taurus in order for them to like you and perhaps do an astrology reading with you, the justification is to stop giving information. The information that you can dish to someone on an astrology front is to basically educate them by going back to things like the Quran or science or cosmology, or make them related to their heritage, which is like Ibn Arabi, Ibn Sina, Alam Tabtabai, right? Or going for, like, for example, Chaptay Donolo, right? Whatever, like, you know, whatever names you feel like they would know. Usually Arabs know like Ibn al-Arabi or Ibn Sina. But for example, if you're talking to someone from a Judeo-Christian background, then they would know like Chaptay Donolo, and, you know, just that. And always highlighting that actually Abraham himself was an astrologer. So then you can explain that's educational. Well, actually astrology is a language, and all those things that you can say depending on the level, and again, what makes you feel comfortable. The idea of languages makes me feel comfortable. The idea of psychology and archetypes makes me feel comfortable. So you choose your lingo, but make sure that you don't go starting to dish them useful information without them respecting or appreciating that which you have to say. Okay, so that's one of the things. And the second thing is, avoid saying things like, hey, بس أنا مني ماجي فرح, أو أنا مني مريم نور, right? You want to promote other astrologers. By default, you're promoting yourself. Because if you say, Maggie Farah has nailed this 5 times, the probability of you nailing it is higher than if you diss Maggie Farah and all you're saying now is in opposition to Maggie Farah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And sometimes us as light workers, I even do this sometimes myself, like, don't worry, I'm just like, oh, you know, these, I'm not going to say like, you know, whatever, right? And it's only until the last 2 years when I started working in interfaith that I learned to monitor that, because I don't judge it in my heart, but sometimes in my mind and my words come out too harshly. I'm like, I don't do this. All right. And it's only when I was like, no, start to monitor your words and your mind. Look, no, any light worker, their heart is always in the right place, right? But unfortunately, our mind picks up from other people's prejudices. So make sure that you've got at least a little bit of more control over your mouth. All right. So we're ready to carry on with, you know, the signs.
Absolutely. We were at Taurus last.
Yes. So we were at Taurus. Today I decided to speed up a little bit the process. I'm going to show you what the planet symbols look like, okay? You saw what the planets looked like in the other presentation, but I want to show you what the symbols look like on a chart, okay? So that we can kind of okay, I downloaded this. Where is it? Okay. Okay. All right. You guys can see that? We finished those slides, but I wanted to show you. Okay. So this is what the symbol of the planet Mars looks like, which is the planet that rules Aries and Scorpio. This is what the symbol looks like. So whenever you find this symbol on the chart, okay, you are, that's where Mars is, in the position of the houses. Next week, we will also start showing you what the houses look like. And we will explain two different types of astrology that measure things differently. But let me ask you a question. Let's see if we're grasping somehow practically. Can this symbol appear in more than one place on the same chart, which you've given an instruction at the same time? Like, meaning this is not a progression chart, this is a natal chart. Natal chart means that you're looking at someone's personality as they are born, their gifts, their purpose, who they are, everything about them. A progression chart are the events that are going to interact in their life. So can this appear more than once on a chart?
Yes.
On a birth chart.
On a birth chart, yes. Birth chart is known as the natal chart. Can it appear more than once?
Yeah, I would say yes.
It can?
No, I don't think so.
Yes, لأنه it rules, each planet rules more than one, except for the moon and the sun. They rule more than one sign.
Okay. So Mercury can be in two places at the same time when you're born.
هيك قصدي.
You see,
okay.
right? This is, I want, this is, yes. So you see, this is why I ask these questions. I want you really in your core, I'm repeating myself, but please, in your core, start to think real astrology versus software astrology, because real astrology means, Bazat Hashem, when you gain enough experience, you don't even need to look at a software, right? You can look at a software and you can literally see as if the sky is in front of you. And that makes it a whole different ball game altogether, right? You
become the software.
You become the software, right? And with everything that's going on in AI, and I know Asim is into AI, like things, but you need to know the limitation of interpretation when it comes to artificial intelligence. Is that artificial intelligence will always be based on the past and predicting events on data relevant to the past. And by the way, idiotic human beings, right, that we do this. We base our decisions based on the past. And this is why in Abrahamic spirituality, when we talk about the developed man, okay, or about someone who's enlightened, what is the word that we refer to him in Arabic? I want you to think of it in terms of Arabic. What do we call an enlightened person? Yeah, but there's another word that's yeah.
Hakim?
Okay, no.
I don't know.
عنده
رؤية.
رؤية.
رؤية, okay.
Right? عنده رؤية. And again, this is a little bit controversial. Just bear with me with what I'm trying to say is that رؤية and the concept that you have in the Islamic tradition, which is, for example, the shaheed, the concept of shaheed, right? And again, this is not people who, Hazab Allah and blah, blah. I'm talking about the origin of the word, right? It is a person whose ability is to do what?
To see.
To see. So here, this is why we are so pushing you to kindly please look at this as predicting the future without looking at the past. This is what makes a good Abrahamic astrologer, is that ability to intuitively know what's going to happen without basing it on the past. Because then you're not really guiding someone truthfully into what they can accomplish, and you will understand what that means as we progress. So this is what the planet Mars looks like. And this is
When you say rules, Aries and Scorpio,
Yeah.
what is well, like physically, what do you mean by rules? As in its present its presence is dominant in the month of Scorpio and Aries, or
Yes, yes. So it means that the characteristics, you remember we spoke about the light of the creator, and these planets are kind of filtering the amount of
yeah,
energy coming into the world. That
yeah,
type of planet, its size, its composition is affecting the electromagnetic waves that are coming into the world in a specific way. So in
yeah.
the month of Taurus, Venus is blocking or filtering our light or the blessings or the energy in a specific way, which makes things slow for us.
Okay. But that means that's what you mean by ruling, is when it's
Yes.
blocking that energy.
Yes.
Okay.
But that does not mean that each month only one planet is reflecting the light.
That's a very true. It does not mean that it's the only planet that's blocking the light. But blocking is a rough word. Filtering, sieving.
It's the strongest.
It's the strongest. So even if, so let's use an example. Mercury is a very small planet, and it holds really almost no power to the powerful Jupiter, right? Jupiter is like huge, it's gravitational, it's etc. But in the month of Gemini, if these two planets, let's say, are emitting equal frequency, the dominant will, the Mercury will win. Okay, let's say they're both giving us $100 because it's easy to measure, or 10 kilowatts of energy. All right, and one is saying, okay, I'm gonna give 15 kilowatts, but it's the month of Gemini. Gemini will win over Mercury. All right, it will have more impact.
Okay. Can I ask another question related?
Yes.
Since we're specifically on that, I'm just interested in to know, okay, the light that is hitting that planet, is it like, are we talking about the sunlight, right? Or is it the energy from the sun, or is it vibration from the universe?
Vibration from the universe.
Okay, got it.
All right. Any other questions? So here, so this is again, so you saw Mars. This is Venus, and these are the easiest to remember because most of the time we use them as man and woman. All right. Now going into Gemini. Okay, so let's start with the month of Gemini. Okay, so Gemini is an air sign. It's internally air, meaning that it's central column. It's the middle of the middle. And air signs, when we speak about Geminis, they are the most air of all the air signs for obvious reasons. They are both internally air, externally air. And you have to know something, that no sign is internally and externally earth. This is only present in the other three elements, which are fire, water, and air. Because, and this is something that has to do with evolution, right? Earth, I want you to think of it in these terms, is astrology that is not applicable to mankind. That is applicable to the vegetative kingdom, because we cannot survive by being earth. Okay, we have to have either chaya, which is the life force. We have to have either breath, or we either have to have mercy. And the reason, yes, Wasim.
Sorry, I missed something. You said something to do with the
Vegetative kingdom.
yeah, what was that?
Did the line cut, or I'm going to repeat it,
No,
but did the line cut, just to know that?
No, I was writing.
Okay. That internally Earth, externally Earth signs, this is not applicable for mankind. This is applicable only for the vegetative kingdom.
Which sign would that be?
There isn't such a sign, because
there isn't such a
does
okay.
not apply to mankind. Astrology is the study of mankind, the archetypes of mankind.
Got it.
Okay. All right. So from here we have to understand yet a secret that's found within astrology, is that each one of us, right, simply put, has a predisposition, but even more deeply put, we've said this before, each one of us kind of brings a specific energy into the world. And the signs of water bring in mercy, the signs of fire bring in life, and the signs of air bring in sustenance, right? Collaborations. And I want you to take a moment and understand how deeply this runs, because you can feel it when someone is the life of the party, or the communicator within the party, or whether they are the strong person that's merciful and kind underneath, you know, all that is happening. Okay. Let's go into...
Can you repeat that? So water brings life, air brings...
Air brings sustenance.
Okay. And
Air
fire brings...
And fire brings life, the energy.
Oh, the life force. Okay.
Yes, the energy before the literally the thermal energy within.
Okay.
Okay. And there was one thing that, for example, if you study the Course in Wisdom, you would know that our words are also linked to sustenance, right? Our mouth is feeding us. It's also linked to sustenance. And if you notice, this is how deep this can run, yeah? And it's important that you know these things, because they really help you when you're looking at a chart, and this has nothing to do with the software. Again, it sounds like I'm anti-software. Actually, I'm not, but get into the tune. Is that the air signs are more focused on the ability to attract and bring in, you know, create this current situation. All right. The fire signs are more able to pioneer and push horizons, and, you know, and obviously the water signs are more the in tune, the more merciful, etc. And they all link to something within the body, within the mind, within it's all the same language. Okay. So the air central sign. Now, why is it that Gemini is so confused? Tipo, Libras are indecisive, okay? But the Matarin, Gemini, they really have a problem. Like bipolar, like honestly, that's them, right? And the reason is because Mercury is so quick, and when it's rotating around the sun, the side that doesn't see the sun drops in temperature really fast and becomes beneath freezing. And the one that's facing the sun is boiling hot. And then it keeps rotating and doing this. So that's why they're quick. And by the way, what happens when you are in a situation of, you would know this, right? Is that you have a pressure cooker and you keep boiling it and freezing it and boiling it and freezing it. What begins to happen? That's what creates the steam engines. That's why Mercury is such a fast planet, because it's a rise. It's you have to imagine it's like a steam engine that's running itself, right? So again, okay, I'm not going to go again into ranting about how important it is to do this without software. Okay, Fastest intellect, all right? Because they have such a big change constantly and frequently, the mind is very active and very receptive. And Tipo, it's not just that they have a sharp intellect. شوي أذكى من غيرهم. لا, the mind is, because we know this, that the mind is not a generator, it is a processor. Their processing ability, because the mind is very fast, right? Because the mind, like some other, is closer to the muscle group rather than an organ group. The brain, I mean, I don't know how advanced you guys keep up with psychology, but now we know the brain can regenerate itself, and it's not true that it doesn't generate itself, and that the more you work the brain, the more it works in that direction. And literally, you can change your way of thinking by working those muscles of thinking. So
you can change your DNA even with your thoughts. That's how powerful the brain is.
Exactly. So when we say things like they have the fastest intellect, it's not just a little bit faster. Their processing is on a higher level, which means that when you speak to a Gemini, or when you are dating a Gemini, or when you're reading a chart for a Gemini, don't over explain. They're not interested. They've already got the idea. Okay. And sometimes a lot of people make this mistake, especially if they have a Gemini in their life. They're like, لا ما روح علي لا تفهم. He already got it. All right. He got it. It's not, because some people have, like, for example, you know, like the other air signs, which are like Libra and Aquarius. The Aquarius, no offense to the Aquarius, they don't get it. They're intellectually fast, but they didn't get it, while the Geminis got it. فهمتوا علي؟ يعني Aquariuses are kind of like, they got the idea from you, عم بيرجع يعد لك نفس الفكرة بس ما فهم الطبخة. بس Gemini, they got it. Libras are recreating it in their mind to get out of it, right? but the Geminis got it. So don't over explain.
So usually يعني لازم يكونوا مش most of the geniuses بس a lot of the genius Geminis ولا في غير sign that is
the problem with Gemini is that the air signs are not very good at building.
okay.
They don't have foundation structure, فبيواجهوا مشكلة to build. انتبهي مثل الفاير signs, they have difficulty maintaining. عرفتي؟ يعني it's so important, and I always give this example. If you notice now, the teachers in the center, the initiator was a fire sign, the sustenance was an air sign, and now when the center is big, I'm not referring to the House of Wisdom, but when the center is big, it's got like so many different locations, etc., etc. The people now running the center are a Cancer and a Virgo. You see, water and earth, because, you know, now someone being a Leo is just too aggressive, you know, there isn't. So always look at the way that, yes, fire signs are so important to pioneer, but don't expect a fire sign to come and look at the petty small things that need to be done. They simply cannot, right? I'll give an example. I've been busy moving, you know, houses. I moved into the new house, and I literally moved like within 48 hours. Like after the warsha, I moved within 48 hours. But what took me 5 or 6 days was figuring out where to put all the crap, right? And I struggle, and I'm just like putting and then throwing and then putting. And why? It's because I'm very good at bringing things in. Yeah, I got it done, and it kind of dissipates. The same thing. Know yourself. Yeah, Sarah?
Yeah, when you talk about like now that the example of the center and the people running, the initiator was the fire, the one that are running. We here talk specifically about their sun signs, right?
Yeah.
So what if they have water and sun? So they are always ruled by the sun as these characters.
So 70, again, going back to what we studied, 70% of you is shaped by the sun, moon, and rising.
Yeah.
The other things are kind of factors. And sometimes, you know, for example, if you are a fire sign, but everything in your chart, like your moon and your rising and all the other things are water, then you will portray a very strong water, but you're still very able to pioneer. Or if you're an earth sign, you're still, again, the three most important things in a person's chart are the sun, moon, and rising. And this is not to confuse lunar with the moon, right? It's just a different calculation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's also very important when you're looking at someone to really understand, like, who, you know, especially when you're reading people's purpose, you need to, again, it's your decision, but the way that I feel works better with people whose charts you are reading is to emphasize and strengthen the strengths and kind of patch up or stop the bleeding from the weaknesses. Some astrologers start teaching them how to overcome their weaknesses. And I find that that doesn't necessarily work. Because if a person's strength is to conquer new horizons, okay? Or let's use another example. Let's say a person's strength is to sustain. They're an earth sign. They are stable. You now teaching them how to go and take something outside of their comfort zone, it might not be so necessary, because if they can sustain their family life and their business and everything, that might be so important, more important and more useful than them going and taking a risk in the stock market, just for them to learn how to get out of their comfort zone. What was the point in that? All right.
Yeah.
So any more questions? Okay. They have the fastest intellect. They are very easily bored because they got it, right? They got it. They convey information and like to know everything. The good thing about Geminis is that they're not selfish with their information. They are the organs that are run by the Gemini are the lungs and the nervous system. All right. They have some, you know, kind of weaknesses. They're very impatient, and their impatience is not a spiritual fault. Leano, impatience is a spiritual fault, meaning that it's a spiritual weakness. But the Gemini's impatience is not a spiritual weakness. It's the fast intellect that gets there. Their negative side is that their gossip is a lot, and they are very cynical. And unlike the Cancer, cynical is because they pick up rubbish from people. Their cynicism is based on excessive talk and little action. It's not based on a depression kind of mode. Okay. Yani Geminis are not like, oh, I want to kill myself and life is so useless and that's real. No, they're more like, oh yeah, life sucks. Will you kill yourself? No, I can't even be bothered to do that. Right? It's not really deep their head. It's just cynical. It's just evil words. They generally are very good with people. right? So if you want to hire someone in marketing, PR, anything that's people related in communication, you can look at again Geminis.
They're very good in sales too, right?
Yes, absolutely. But by the way, if sales has to do with customer experience after that, no, they will get bored and ما إلهم جلد. عرفت علي؟
Quick sprints.
Yes, quick sprints. Yes, quick sprints. So give them the product to market, sell, بس إنه البرودكت have to be these cheap مش إنه بعدين بدنا tech support.
Right.
Okay.
Nothing, low maintenance.
Low maintenance, exactly. Gemini often marry more than once. Okay. So ladies, stay away from Gemini. All right. So they generally have confusion and unclarity. Why? Because our words create a seal in front of our eyes. And especially when we speak negative words a lot, or we speak lies, or we speak things that are not entirely accurate, we begin to create blurriness. These are spiritual things that we're talking about. But astrologically, when you say a lot of lies, there is kind of like a veil in front of you that stops you from seeing things clearly. All right, so there's a lot of confusion and unclarity. There's also something that Geminis struggle with a lot, which is sleepwalking. All right, this is something that, you know, that it's a problem. And kids who are Gemini, that's very dangerous, and you need to be careful to kind of seal the house, because before, especially between the age of 0 to 3, kids are 100% their sign, and they begin to even exemplify more that sign until they become 7. So sleepwalking, if you have a child that's a Gemini, or the person has a child that's a Gemini, you need to watch out from that. Geminis are everywhere, and you get the feeling that they're everywhere. You know, like you see them, you're like, oh, weren't you just at the party down the road? Yeah. And what are you doing here now? And then there's a third party. Geminis are almost everywhere. Like they're literally, they have this really good ability to be social butterflies. A friend of mine said about a Gemini girl that we know, it's like a little butterfly. It's good if they land on you, but when they're not there, you can't enjoy their beauty, right? So meaning that they have this effect, you know, butterflies, you look at them, they're beautiful. They really make you go into that presence, into that, you know, wow, subhanallah, this world is amazing. Look at its creation. But the moment the butterfly has flown away, it's kind of, it has no impact anymore. You can't even remember what the design looked like, right? Geminis are a bit like that. They're quick and smart, and they are from the most, like, that's the signs that are compatible with them. The sign that is to roll with the Gemini has to be also quick and smart. Good friends for Geminis are usually Sagittarius, right? Because it's less, they're fast. The Sagittarius is also internally air. It's like a combo, not a business combo, not a relationship combo, but it's definitely a very good, solid, fun foundation. And if they start a marketing company or a PR company together, my God, these people will be billionaires. So the problems that Geminis have is that they have no concept, but no concept of emotion. They don't get that. I feel they don't understand that. They're like, sure, like, what? I'm confused. What are we talking about? There is no internal assimilation. Why? Because emotions come from an internal assimilation, which means that the thought has gone in, you've experienced it, you've felt it. It's kind of a feeling that you've developed. This is not the case. They don't get that.
I have a question on how this.
Yes.
But intellectually, they do have deep understanding of things.
Of concepts, but not of feelings. Yani, if you explain to them what the feeling is, they will get it. But they don't get the fact that you're feeling that. They will be like, really? Like, yeah, شو يعني? Why is that?
But other things
You mean,
at deep level.
Yes.
you mean that they can't connect to your emotions because they're too much in their own heads or processing?
Yes, absolutely. They cannot connect to their emotions, but intellectually they understand the way that you feel. Right? They understand the way that you feel, but they don't feel what you're feeling. You know how sometimes you're like, I feel your pain? No. They're like, oh yeah, that might have hurt in comparison to cutting your hand.
Okay. So
You
you
know,
have
like,
to logically explain it to them, or
yes.
but did you say the brain is their dominant, like their organ, right? You said
No, lungs and the
lungs and nervous system, right? So it's a nervous system, right?
Yes. But there's something important to what you're saying in accordance to the brain is, so for example, the head is the Aries, right?
Yeah.
But you need the brain kind of is your nervous system, right? It's all it's the central nervous system. So it is Gemini, but the head specifically is Aries.
Is Aries, right?
All right. So the Gemini, if they want to correct something, or the way for their correction is to focus on one goal, at least in one lifetime. They need to focus on one goal and be dedicated to it. All right, whatever it is, they need to focus on one goal and be dedicated to it.
In general, they can't focus. Their focus span,
their focus span is very, very low. But focus doesn't mean, Maya, and you need to focus for 45 minutes, but that you have a clear goal in your mind and that it's kind of like a point. لما أنا كنت عم بقول they cannot focus, it means إنه they have difficulty focusing on one thing in the short term, like writing for a really long time, because their mind is everywhere. بس لما نحن نقول إنه okay, بس focus on making money or focus on being successful in your career, right? There's multiple levels to that, so that's okay. They can
be steadfast towards one.
They need to learn, yes.
It doesn't come easy.
No, it doesn't come easy to them. بس عشان هيك عم بقول لكم their focus should be a long-term thing rather than a short-term thing that has multiple layers underneath. Yeah, that is what can help them to be able to focus. يعني مثلا تنفترض focus on making your business successful. That encompasses marketing, sales, PR, management, right? But saying focus on your marketing, it's a bit too difficult. Okay. They need to do meditations that connect them to the heart. All right. They need to do meditations that connect them to the heart. They should acquire patience with other people. That's something that they can, learn. And to seek depth, whatever that depth might be, but to seek more depth in their connection to people. They have a very cynical and sharp tongue, and that also needs to become smoother, right? So these are the corrections. If you're a rising Gemini, right, you shouldn't handle many projects because you will fail at all of them. Right? So your correction as a rising Gemini is to handle one project at a time. If your moon is in Gemini, you are prone to addictive behavior and you have difficulty accessing your emotions. Okay. This is the symbol of the Gemini. This is the symbol of the sign of Gemini. This is what the stars in the sky look like. And this is what the planet looks like.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Their impatience, how does it differ from an Aries impatience?
Aries impatience is, okay, I'll give an example. An Aries will get angry, wanting to achieve that, and will push a steadfast mode. I want it now, and aggressively. A Gemini's impatience will be like, oh, I can't be bothered.
And he will give up.
And Mish give up. He just can't be bothered. He'll move on to something else. In Aries, don't move on to something else when they want something. They still want it, and they, inject
Persist.
that. Yeah, but it's aggressive persistence. It's domineering persistence. We're looking at it as a positive, but sometimes that might be negative, right? يعني هن they're like لا بدي إياها وهلا بدي وبالشارع they're aggressive. Gemini مثلا إنه يقعد يجادل مع حدا مثلا نفترض you are in the market and you're bargaining on the price. The Gemini will be like بدك إياها $5 لا ما بدي إياها okay bye.
Okay.
خلص بيفل. They don't have this like, oh no, I want it. خلص ما زي ما تيجي فل. Right? بينما the Aries will continue to argue. عرفتي? Because he wants to get what he wants. Any questions? No?
No.
Moving on. Sarah, you're okay? Okay.
Yeah, I'm just talking to my daughter here. Thanks.
Okay. So moving on to Cancer. Oh, sorry. There's one more thing about Gemini that you need to know. Gemini, in the month of Gemini, is what happened from an Abrahamic perspective is that the Torah was revealed. The oral Torah was revealed. And this is a significant historical moment. You would know this event as Mount Sinai, when Moses brought down the tablets. Why is this important for you to know? Because it's that energy of Gemini, the communication between the upper worlds and the lower worlds, that is established in Gemini. So whenever people have dreams or feelings that are people who are not Gemini, right? If, like, for example, water signs or fire signs get ideas, or, you need to know that in the month of Gemini, these are most likely real inspirations, right? Because they come from that aspect that there was a huge revelation of light in the month of Gemini.
When is the month of Gemini?
Next month. And after 15 days. After 15 days starts Gemini. All right. This is a very good question. When do you begin to feel the energy of the new moon? Simple. The new moon, that's khalas. You're connecting to that energy and you can create rituals, meditations, etc. But when do you begin to feel the energy?
After it's finished the cycle, no?
No. You begin to
at its peak.
feel.
At its peak?
No.
Like,
At the peak, no. Makif, how are you gonna get inspiration on what to talk about? When do you feel the energy of
Al-Fajr before one, right?
It's on the weekend before the new moon. Oh, yeah. So basically, it's on the weekend before the new moon, and of course, it's also the night before. So, kind of, it depends when the new moon is gonna dock in. Because, like, if the new moon is docking in at 4 p.m. in the summer, then you will feel it that night. Yeah, the night before. But if the new moon is docking in at like 5 or 6 in the morning, you will feel it the night before. Okay? The night before.
Guys, are you cutting or
ما بعرف.
Wissam, it's cutting من عندك or it's just عندي?
no, I hear it. No, I hear it fine.
Okay, so I think my daughter took the laptop and
Okay.
let me take care of that.
All right. Then we go on to, so the cusp. And this is important because you can always prepare for your new moon talk, but you also have to allow the energy in. And you also have to be careful to monitor what are your thoughts and what are your feelings the night before if you are someone who's going to publicly be teaching astrology, you know, on the new moon, right? So examples like, you know, the new moon, I set a talk based on what it is generally that is carried in the energy. And then the night before, I begin to really meditate on it. And the weekend before, I also really meditate on it. I start to observe what are the thoughts I'm attracted to, what is the music I'm attracted to, what's happening, because that's also the indication of what I need to speak about on the night when you can see the new moon. So there's a word for that. It's called Erev Rosh Chodesh, which basically means in Aramaic. That's not in Hebrew. That's in Aramaic, actually. And it's important that you know this word because there is specific energy that comes with that sacred language, which is Erev Rosh Chodesh, which means the head or the concealed of the new moon. Okay, going into Cancer. Cancer is a water sign. It's internal water, external water. All right? Huh? Exactly. They are, yeah, very, very Cancer.
Drama.
Very drama. Like, you know, I'm a fire sign, so I will never speak positively about a water sign. so so that's just not gonna historically happen, you know. I always, every time I think of a water sign, I just see a lot, you know, Simba when he was thrown into the water and he comes all like right, that's the feeling I always get from it. But yeah, so Cancer is water, internally water, and they are the Cancer month is regarded as one of the first negative month of the year. All right, so Cancer is regarded as a negative month, and we will speak about what the difference between the three negative months are. But Cancer is a negative month where the light of, or the, you know, universal, what did you call it, Wasim? You like that lingo? What was the word you used?
Vibration from the universe.
Yeah, universal vibration. You don't feel it, right? It's completely blocked, right? So it's one of the, unlike the Leo, the Cancer is a blockage. It's a blockage. There isn't enough light, or we don't experience the enough light. Water, internally water. They are the most sensitive of the water signs. They are the most fearful. Cancer is fear-driven, and they are very scared. It's a dark month. And even though Cancer looks like it's very, you know, caring and very systematic and very supportive, cut the bullshit. You're a control freak, all right? They are literally wanting to control, manipulate. Their motivation is control driven, even though on the surface it really looks like they are caring, because the moon is a woman's sign, right? It's the feminine energy, right? So it's so concealed in this motherly nurture energy, but in reality it is the control aspect. And by the way, off topic, but it still is very valid because it's spiritual astrology at the end of the day. You need to know something. This is actually the disease of the mother, right? Hansel and Gretel, the nurturing mom that gives you everything, all the cookies and everything, but you do as I please, right? And this phenomenon exists especially dominantly in the Middle East. Ibni, right? Like ابنها معلق فيها so much, right? Because why? Because she provides everything and she takes care of him. And the only thing a mother doesn't do in the Middle East is literally have sex with her son, right? And like, honestly, no kidding. But beneath that, what lurks
Control.
is a deep control, because he gives her a justification in society, because, you know, in the older generation, without him, she is dispensable, right? She's dispensable. If you look at the old patriarchal system, right? Women with no sons were more easily dispensable than women with sons, right? So that power that she gets from the man, rather than getting him from her husband, she gets it from her son, which, you know, and that's the control motivation. And of course, not all mothers are like this, but you really need to understand that mothers, and that the feminine energy, sometimes the nurture and the care comes from control rather than, you
Love.
know, rather than, yeah, real love. They are a very intuitive sign, and of course they're very in tune, and they're very good at spotting what will make money. So the thing that Cancer are very good at is spotting what makes money. And the reason they're very good at spotting what makes money is because Cancers connect to the emotion of the people, right? The emotions of the people. And the emotions of people and the collective emotions of people are the drive of desire in the world. So whatever a person feels is already something that they've assimilated. So let's say a person feels like they should now be investing in Bitcoin, then a Cancer can pick that up. But for example, a fire sign will be like 10 years in advance, right? You guys need to invest in Bitcoin, but the collective consciousness is not ready because they're pioneering, while Cancers pick up on what the current is right now. So they're very intuitive, but they're not visionary. That's what I'm trying to really drill down the difference between the words that we're using when it comes to signs, right? So the intuition of the Cancer is not. Scorpios are kind of both, right? That's why they're the best at making money, because they're in tune, pioneering. So it's kind of like nailed it on the spot, on the, you know, ضربة حاسمة, right? بينما Cancerians are when they're good at the established idea. They pick it up very quickly. That's why Cancers usually are very good at antique dealing, art that is going to pick up, because now they can pick up at emotions. They're good at making solid investments such as real estate, things. يعني هيدا الانتويشن تبعتهم بتجرهم لهونيك. بس هني ما رح يبلشوا business that's like, oh wow, the first burger place. That is the job of a Scorpio. The job of the Scorpio, he will be like, the first burger place that will make the most money in the shortest time, right? But Cancer, la. Cancer will be like, there's burger places, and one more burger place will make money. فهمتوها للفكرة?
Yeah.
All
They
right.
act upon their intuition, Cancerians.
Yes, given the right partnerships, yes. Okay. انتبهوا. In everything that we must do, there is a collaboration. يعني fire signs mean عم بيزقف لي, water signs mean is pushing me, air signs is who's stabilizing me, right? It's all about partnerships. All right. So of course they're ruled by the moon, all right, which is their main planet. They are the only sign ruled by the moon. So all signs share planets, but not Cancer. Cancer is only moon. They are drama driven, right? They love drama. يعني مش مفهوم شو الخبرية بس because they are so in touch with their emotions, when they don't feel emotion, they kind of are like lost, which
They
brings
feel
us,
disconnected.
they feel disconnected, so they want to create drama. وفي شغلة لازم تعرفوها. Drama is addictive. Okay? Drama is addictive. يعني if it's easy to change someone's mind, it is so much difficult to change someone's melancholic drama, because drama feeds the ego for a very long time. So drama driven are it's a very addictive personality trait. They have the best memory and they're very good listeners. Okay, they're very, very good listeners and they have very good memory, very sharp memory. Usually they have very open houses and they're very welcoming, and you almost feel very good at the Cancerian's home, right? Their stuff is like kind of neat and tidy, and you know, yeah, they're kind of like, everything is on the surface, it's very good. They're good therapists, and I shouldn't say this, but they're excellent therapists, right? Like, honestly, it really comes to them naturally. It really comes to them very naturally, right? And they're not, and I used the word therapist rather than psychoanalyst, just so I can give myself some credit later on. But I'm kidding. But they're very excellent therapists because they really are the therapists of the sign. They're very good at listening. They're very good at catching on the hidden emotion. They're very good at lurking what's beneath that. They're very good at intuitively knowing what the person's problem is.
And they love drama.
And they love drama, right? And you know, you're kind of in there for like, you know, and that, tell me some more about your mom. And once you're done with the mom, and let's move on to her sister. Did you ever meet your mom's sister, and why not? And, oh my God, right? Because you know, there's also, when it comes to therapy, particularly not psychoanalysis, but real therapy, like, you know, cognitive behavioral therapy, the best psychologists or the best creme de la creme of any industry, even doctors, even, is the person who's been there and has come out. And 90% of cancers are depressed and bipolar, right? So that's why they make very good therapists, because they can spot it, like, you know, like nothing else. A lot of Cancerians at certain stages in their life have been depressed clinically. Not like, oh, I'm depressed. No, like clinically depressed. And that's why they're very good at spotting it on the clothes, on the, you know, on everything, right? The organ that is ruled by the Cancer is the stomach, the digestive system, and the mother organs, which is the womb and the vagina, right? And they have difficulty in digesting life, right? It's kind of, they have issues with digestion and digesting life, and what it is. Yeah, so basically they always have some intestinal problems, some digestive issue, but that also doesn't stop just at the physical. They have problems digesting life because, again, thoughts are very fast, emotions are very slow. And we live in the world of Aquarius where information is very fast. Again, you see, they wouldn't have had this problem in the age of Capricorn, right? But now, in the age of Aquarius, where information is very fast, Cancerians struggle a lot more than, yeah, a lot more than other signs, because they can't digest life so quickly.
It's very
right.
interesting what you say, and is the liver is part of that system, right? Interesting.
Yeah.
I know somebody, a Cancer, who's struggling a lot with their liver.
Yeah.
Is there a solution in the corrections?
Yeah, so we'll go into the the corrections side of it now. But there is one thing that you need to also know, which brings us to an important thing, is that, I mean, I don't know how deep you guys want to go into this, but astrology in the big picture is describing evolution. And it's also kind of secretively, if you are picking up the energy, is that it's also telling you what is needed in the future and what is the timeline for that. Meaning that if we look, again, I don't know if you know this, but within the Abrahamic tradition, there is the concept of Mashiach, or the Mahdi, or the Messiah. And astrologically speaking, the Messiah will come within the next 200 years, right? Between 218 to 0 years, depending on. And the correction that people have now is doubt and sorry, I have issues with cats. Yes, it's doubt and unclarity of information. Like there's no clear truth. So the battle that today humanity faces is doubt. That's the battle of the age of Aquarius. And if you notice, Aquarius it's an air sign. And when we say that right now, the people of the heart, right? Meaning the people of the heart have to they are the future. They are in the age of Mashiach. They would have conquered doubt and moved on to the dimension of the heart. And if you notice, people of the heart right now don't have so much of an opening. They're like, hey, yani, compassion, integrity, those are all things of the future. And I want you to understand this, that for the next 200 years, astrologically speaking, if you're a person of the heart, people are not there. فهمتوا علي؟ يعني ما بعرف, am I making sense in
what do you mean by people are not there?
People are just not there. This is not the interest right now.
People are not going into their hearts, you mean? Or
yeah. So right. All these, no, like, so again, this is applicable to Sarah because you're a yoga teacher. I want you to understand something. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but even when you are saying to people the heart chakra and going to your heart and feel the lovingness, blah, 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 that's actually BS. What they are assimilating is a thought of what love feels like, or what that compassion feels like, or what that empathy feels like. But it's not something that's really the heart chakra opening up, because that is reserved for the age of Pisces.
I totally agree.
Oh, okay.
I totally agree. So, I never say that in my class.
Yeah, but
to the breath and to the body, I stick to these two. Yeah.
Yeah, but we have to understand that, even like, for example, you know, in the House of Wisdom Center, we have this heart-focused meditation. And I mean, like, honestly, I don't know if it's working, but it's definitely working for my akhirah. It's definitely not doing anything in this world, right? I always make this joke of like, dude, this meditation is for my next life, because honestly, there is no, like, I've learned nothing from that meditation. Not because it's a bad meditation, but because that feeling of assimilation, I haven't reached that yet. Everything that I feel is going through my mind, through my mind. And this is important for you to understand, because whenever you are speaking about the heart and evolution, we are not there yet, okay?
So when you're talking about the age of something,
Yeah.
You're talking about like the whole complete consciousness of the planet, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not one person. This is in the big picture of
The other
astrology.
Like
dimension.
when everyone's
Moving to
aligned
another
on
dimension.
this, in
Yes.
this, if you want, direction or consciousness.
Yes. Okay. Help them with effort, meaning that a Cancer really needs support in moving forward, because most of the time they make one step forward and 3 steps backward or 2 steps backward. Why? But in reality, they're making 3 steps backward because they've moved 1 step forward and they've gone to the original place and 2 steps backward. They cannot push forward. I know a person who's a Cancer who moved to a country and then moved back to the original country and moved back to their village. And I'm like, what the hell? What just happened? Why did you do that transition? And they're like, oh, I got scared. Like I felt that it wasn't the thing for me. Right? So you need someone that when Cancers are kind of moving in their own pace, you need someone to help support them. And that's why they do good with earth signs, because once they're 1 step forward, the earth sign doesn't want to move backward, right? They'll be like, no, let's just stay here. I'm tired of moving, right? So that's why they need, some people say, oh, it's the fire sign, right? That can, there is the fire sign that can help them to progress forward. Yes, but not that much, because Cancerians are fearful. All right. Fear is not an option. So this is the mantra of a Cancerian, is that they should stop feeling the fear. Right?
I have a question.
Yes.
You're very intuitive, so why are that يعني intuitions usually المفروض ما يخليهم يكونوا هالقد fearful, because they instinctively pick up on things. They instinctively know that مثلا, for example, it's going to be all right, that this is going to work out. So
yeah,
Are they
so
intuitive to themselves or to others only? Like, do they catch?
no, they're also self-intuitive. They're also they know they're scared. They're controlled. They know that they're scared. They're very self-aware, because water is internal. You see what water does when you drop a bowl of water, it goes into itself. It doesn't dissipate. They're very
these two energies, these two energies, control and fear, they walk along. They walk hand by hand.
Yeah. But
ما بتجي وحدة ولا التانية.
But let me ask you the question. Does anybody smoke out of you? You smoke.
And sometimes.
Okay. Do you know that smoking is bad for you?
Up and down. Yeah, of course I do.
Are you aware that it's slowly killing you?
And
Feel your capacity? Do you feel like your capacity in your lungs is degrading and slowing down?
أكيد لا.
أكيد لا. Come on. سؤال. Do you quit smoking?
No.
Meaning, just because, this is to answer Maya's question, I don't know if you guys heard Maya's question, is that if they're so attuned and they're so intuitive and they know everything is going to be okay, why do they still get scared?
Self-work is not easy.
Exactly. Courage is not, it's not. خلاص انت لما تكوني خايفة, you're scared.
Okay. So it's not related to the fact that in this month it's the darkest month, so there's no light.
هون عم نحكي عن all Cancerians.
I mean, I'm just trying to understand if this fear in Cancerian is related to this.
Yes, they still, but they know the light is there, but they just don't feel it. They don't feel like it's okay. They know it's gonna be okay. I feel like it's going to be okay. I know in my gut it's going to be okay, but I'm still scared.
قصدي لأنه فيها مش disconnection, بس لأنه فيها lack of light. Is this the source of their fear? Because in this month, في هيدا dark.
Yes. From origin, yes, because in that moment, in the birth of the month of Cancer, there was a total concealment of the light. Yes. Yes, I understand the question now. Sorry, I didn't understand the question first. And there's one more thing that we'll talk about eclipses in a second. Okay. Well, actually, let's talk about eclipses now. When it's a lunar eclipse, okay, this is good.
When it's a lunar?
When it's a lunar eclipse, partial or full, lunar eclipse, it's good. All right, guys, can you just give me 1 second? I'm just gonna pause. If you guys want to grab some tea or something, I just need to do something that's time sensitive. So I'll get back. Grab some tea. It's
Sure.
28 at 8:35. Let's resume. Yeah.
In 1 hour?
No.
Sorry.
In 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
In 5 minutes. Okay, so is Wasim back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so am I on share screen?
No.
Let's share screen. Yeah. Okay, so fear is not an option, and we spoke about like what it means to be like the age of Mashiach.
No.
Yes, so the eclipses as they stand, right? So lunar eclipse is not as bad as a solar eclipse, right? So a lunar eclipse is kind of okay energetically. And okay, so when there's a lunar eclipse, people are less reactive. All right, their hidden sides are less aggressive, less so kind of it looks energetically as a positive thing. It's still not positive, not as positive, but it's better than a solar eclipse. Solar eclipse, specifically when we look, guys, again, this is not to say Islam, Christianity, or Judaism, your religious values, but this at the end of the day is Abrahamic astrology, right? From a perspective, if you look at all of the prayers from a solar eclipse perspective, all of them have one thing in common, whether you're looking at Judaism. I've never seen them in Christianity. Please pardon my limitation. But if you look at the prayers that the saints and the prophets used to do in solar eclipses, and you look at the prayers that are advised in Islam during solar eclipses, you will understand that this is a big time of darkness in the world, and its impact lasts for years to come. When there is a solar eclipse, you need to look at catastrophes that are to follow the world from big perspectives. And if you notice something, to understand it, do you guys remember there was a solar eclipse about less than a year ago? There was a huge solar eclipse. It was in the news, and it was like in Lebanon, and everybody was like cheering. There was a solar eclipse. We sent out, I can give you the date. It's on our social media. Hold on, I'll give you the date. Yeah, I sent it on the group. It's on our social media. I recorded a voice recording, and I put it on social media. So there was a solar eclipse. Do you guys remember what happened 4 or 5 months later? How the earthquake?
Right.
Earthquakes.
The earthquakes. Yeah.
Earthquakes.
In Turkey.
In Turkey. Now, do you know which were the only countries that were citing the solar eclipse?
The ones that got hit.
Yeah, the ones that got hit with the earthquakes.
What do you mean by citing?
That you can see it. Everyone was affected by it, but you could see it. Like it was like you looked at it and it was evident.
Right.
Solar eclipses that happen, but people cannot see them for their positioning on the mountain or on the right. But this happens because you have to understand the sun is giving us the light. Let's say 1 million, sorry, I measure everything with money because it makes things easier, right? Let's say it's giving you $1 million every second, right? And for whatever seconds, it's giving you no money. And this gap of energy, which is huge, right, is now gone missing from the world. It's going to impact, it's going to shatter the infrastructure of the world, right? So whenever you're looking at, inshallah, it never happens in your career, but when you know that a solar eclipse is going to happen, you need to look at catastrophes post that, right?
You can't predict solar eclipses?
Yeah.
Like you can.
You can predict solar eclipses, yes. But they're not, they don't have to happen. The solar eclipses happen all the time, but they don't have to be visible in the world. If they're visible in the world, that's the problem. Yes.
And I'm guessing we shouldn't.
Yes. So, and by the way, this is another thing. Never, ever, ever look at a solar eclipse. I know it's a fantastic once in a lifetime opportunity thing to see, but the
energy that you're getting from that.
Yes, you are testifying. It is said that the people who look upon this and are happy with it, because it's, you know, you're happy, you're like looking at once in a lifetime thing, you are counted amongst the people that testified that there was no creator. That's how big it is, because it means, and if you look at the depth of this, it puts in your mind, in your consciousness, that at any given moment, darkness can overtake the light. That's what it is. That's what it represents. That's what a solar eclipse represents on a consciousness level, that I conceal the light. And that's why, you know, Abrahamic saints are kind of saying, when you see that and you're happy with it, you're one of the people who testified that the creator could not overcome this.
I accept the darkness, basically.
I accept the darkness, yes. And that's why it is said that one of the ways that the world will perish is through darkness, right? That, you know. So, yeah, so that's not very good. A lunar eclipse is much, much, much lighter. Like, it's almost like nothing, and it happens several times in our life, and it conceals our reactive nature, right? Basically, it gives less power to our reactive sides. And by the way, lunar eclipses can happen from other planets, from the way that we position ourselves in the world. So there's many variables there. It's also not recommended that you look at it, but if you look at it, it's not that big a deal, right? Like, it's okay.
So lunar eclipses when the moon is covered, right? Solar eclipses when the sun is covered. Yes. Specifically by the moon?
Yes.
Not Venus or... Right.
Oh, so it's the reactive nature also concealing the light.
Yeah. So it's the reactive nature concealing the light. Yes. So that's why it's the darkness concealing the light. All right. So Cancerians live in the past. They live very much in the past. And they relive the past like constantly, right? Because they're busy assimilating them. And usually Cancerians come from dysfunctional families or divorced families, right? And again, here, there's something that you need to look at, is that if the first child is a Cancerian, the likelihood of that family becoming dysfunctional or divorced is very, very high. But let's say the Cancerian is a sibling, then not necessarily, because we know that the first child holds the blessings of all the children to come, and specifically if it's a boy, right? So again, this is a matter to look into. It's very funny. I know someone who got a son, and he's a Cancerian, and I was like, oh shit, this family's getting divorced, and in this family, divorce is like out of the question. And I was like, I don't care, like, you know, astrology says they're gonna get divorced, and rightfully so. About 5 years later, they got divorced, right? But it's a dysfunctional family, and etc. And usually, not necessarily, but there is muyul, that the dysfunction comes from the mother's side, because it's the feminine.
Does that mean that they create dysfunctional families?
They choose dysfunctional families. They choose. Remember, we choose the family that we come into. They don't create it. They choose that family in order to correct something.
Okay.
All right. And they need to learn how to think more positively, like think thoughts that are more positive. The feelings are important, but etc.
Sorry, I think you misunderstood my question. What I
What?
meant was if cancers come from dysfunctional families, when they grow up and they create their own families, do they create dysfunctional families
No.
later?
Oh, sorry. No. They not necessarily.
Right.
Quite the contrary. They grow up and they're very family focused.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, they correct that, and based on the fear that they're gonna go there, they create very intact families and
Controlled.
yes, and they like to create the type of families that are the شو بيسموهن إلى كلمة technical نسيت شو هي الكلمة بس هيدول الفamilies like mother figure, father figure, the children, the separate rooms, the you know, like very conventional family.
Consensual. Okay.
Yeah, and we said that in the homes they built very good homes. If you remember, we spoke about their homes. All right. Spiritual independence is the biggest thing that they need to learn, right? Independence, just general independence, right? Emotional independence is very important for them to learn to love without others, meaning that learn to love not through the eyes and the lens and the emotions of others, like through your own trust. To care genuinely, not with the pretense of control. They usually need coaching and therapy to learn techniques to overcome low self-esteem, right? Self-confidence is one thing, but self-esteem is another thing. All right. Self-esteem is something that comes from self-confidence, right? That confidence is sort of, are you competent enough to do something? Esteem means that you have the drive, right? Like, you can portray that you know something, that you give the impression that you know something. And Cancerians do know, but because they have such low self-esteem, they don't look like they know anything. The proportionality of the hurt is not relevant to what happened.
They hurting us.
Them hurting us and them hurting, like how it feels on the inside. You remember that there was me and Maya speak about this. We know someone and we're analyzing, even though we don't know the lady, but her husband, you know, she seems not to be getting along with her husband. You know what I'm talking about, right? And the drastic moves that she makes are so Cancerian-like, right? It's kind of like, no matter what this guy did, the proportionality in which you're taking this is too far. So
drama.
Yes, exactly. Drama driven. And we need to understand that the emotion is too deep in comparison to what is happening. So if a Cancer is saying, this is the end of the world, then you need to know that something just deteriorated, right? There's another problem, is that they're very resentful when they don't get what they want. And from all the signs, they hold the most resent. And it's something that they hold on to. Scorpios and Pisces just want to have these pretentious virtues and live in la la land. Scorpios will bite back, okay? Scorpios will literally bite you back, and they're waiting for the opportunity. But Cancerians will never bite you back, but they will hold it against you and massacre you day in, day out, taxing the relationship with resent and negativity, because they don't even want to let it go. A Scorpio, once they get even, خلص, it's okay. We got even. خلص, فلوا عني. One of the techniques is put happiness with feelings, right? Put happiness with feelings, and in your feelings inject, you know, like happiness. Happiness is something that they really need to work at. When you speak to Cancerians, always it's about your feelings. So start with feeling, and I feel, and it's never I understand, it's always I feel. They have the compatibility with an air sign is bad. They should be with earth signs. We spoke about this. Taurus is the best, and also Capricorn is very good for them. In work, they should partner up with a fire sign. They do, especially if they want to conquer. We said that it also depends on the type of work, right? But if they want to pioneer something, they should partner up with the fire sign. But if they just want to be courageous enough to stay where they are, then the best partner for them is the earth sign. Yeah, they're very good accountants, they're very good CPA, they're good bankers, they're good antique dealers, everything that has to do with numbers, memory, old, they are very much there. And rising, if someone is a rising Cancer, then do not listen to your emotions and feelings, get your facts straight. And again, these are people that live in la la land. يعني ما خصه شو حاسس بشو عم بيصير. وهيدا الشيء
You're talking about the rising?
Yes,
You're
rising Cancer, right? And moons are up and down, and they have issues with the mother, right? If they're a moon Cancer, they have issues with the mother. Going into what you asked me about, Wasim, you asked me about how to heal problems that have to do with the liver and digestion. So usually the liver gets hit, it gets specifically hit from the fact that there is too much water and not enough fire, right? That's what the energy is, because the liver holds the fire, right? That's the balancing of the hormones, the balancing of the force of life. So if someone is too much water, they will have problems with the liver because the water is killing the fire, let's say. So one of the things is, let's say from a food perspective, is increasing spices, increasing probiotics, increasing things that create internal fire, right? Things that create internal fire. And maybe you can ask your wife, because she deals with the Vata and the Pitta. Yeah. So these are all the foods that have to do with increasing the fire. That is the target. And another thing on a psychological level that needs to be done is the enhancement of the intellect versus the enhancement of the emotions, right? Meaning that a person should start thinking more straight. Get your facts correct. Get your facts correct. Not, but I felt. Don't validate so much of the feelings.
Right. No, don't yes, it's okay. You know, stay in your own mood and more like lift up, know what you're thinking. Rationalize your thoughts, basically.
Yes, rationalize your thoughts, get out of it, etc. There's one thing that is advisable in any type of advice as healers or light workers, is we're not meant to be comfortable. You know, we live in a society of too much validation, right? LGBT, blah, blah. I identify. Respect and validation are very different things, right? Respecting your opinion, that's fine, but I don't have to validate it. Validation, the word valid means that you're making something true. And I'll give you an example. There's a verse from the Islamic tradition, which is Al-Amr bil-Ma'ruf wal-Nahy an al-Munkar. And if you truly understand what this wisdom is trying to tell you, is that if someone comes to you, I'm going to give this really roughly, Heike. Someone comes to you and says, I identify as a man, but I am a woman. You can basically not engage in this conversation, which is an-Nahy an al-Munkar. Like you just don't engage in the conversation. You don't have to validate, but you can ask something else, like, oh, when was the last time you got your hair done? Or, yeah, like whatever, something that keeps the momentum going in a direction, not that you want it, that's respectful, but not validating. يعني يعني مثلا رح اعطيكم فكره. اجا
Change
ولد.
the attention.
Yeah. So like for example, let's not use the LGBT. Let's use something more like your child comes to you and says, Mom, I want to kill myself. Why? I'm depressed and that's it. Life is not good. Right? Instead of going, why do you feel that life is not good? You could just say, oh, well, okay. Did you see your friends like yesterday? Or would you like to go get ice cream? The mind begins to work in that. Again, I know it's each case to it, but I think very soon, this whole concept of I validate you has been misunderstood. And I think that people are going to start to seriously consider correcting what validation truly means. Respect and validation are very different things. Does that make sense?
How did we get to this discussion though?
It's meaning that when we speak about Cancer and their emotions, rising, do not listen to your emotions and feelings, get your facts straight. So when you were saying about your friend, we were speaking about like not to validate their feeling, and then I gave you like a complete psychological, maybe not needed,
Breakdown.
But breakdown of why that's not so good. Okay. All right, getting to the easier. Cancer, that's the symbol. That's what it looks like in the skyline. And guys, again, just to make sure that you see the ones that are shining bright, make sure that these are like the central ones that are not going to change. بس مثلا تنفترض إذا بتطلعوا مثلا عم بعطي example مثلا you see there's like one dot like at the end of the ray of that, in the middle. These stars can potentially change, over the years. But these main ones, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? These won't change.
Okay.
And this is what you're looking at in the chart. Okay. I know that we're going 2 signs at a time, but don't worry, because there are 3 things that are happening. Immediately after we finish the signs, you guys are going to go into charting. So I'm not worried anymore that it's taking long, because you guys are covering all the segments, right? So, and next week we're going to add houses. So that literally just covers everything that you're looking for in a chart. And the last week we can do charting. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that once we finish from the first 6 signs, then things become faster because the planets are repetitive, right? So also don't worry about that. We could potentially be going at 3 after Virgo. Like once we start Libra, we could be potentially going at 3 at a time rather than 2. Okay. Any questions for today?
Thank you. I'm good.
All right.
Not for me. By the
All right.
way, can I mention something, or maybe I should tell you in private?
No, say, go ahead.
So it's been almost a year. I've been craving to take astrology with you. You know that. More than a
Yes.
year. And I've been dreaming of creating an astrology, not software, but AI driven sort of software, but in 3D. Like you can see the planets, you can see in front of you, and you can predict, for example, different things. That's why that's why actually I'm learning from me and for the purpose of creating this.
Software.
So I was waiting for you to open this class.
Good. Start working on the software from now so that it kind of aligns with.
I need to, you
So
know
it
me,
doesn't
Libra.
pile up.
I need to like turn it into my own version.
All right.
All right,
Good.
that's it from me.
Do let us know when the software is live. This is the Leo pushing.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you, Jana.
No
I'll
problem.
see you
Happy
next week.
moving.
I mean, this week.
All right. Okay, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye. Good night.
Bye-bye.